everybody again. We'll go over Hebrews 11. I hope 10 really helped you. 10 ties in kind of a setup for what this message was. Interesting that it came around the same time. We went over chapter 10. Chapter 11, Hebrews. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for. Again, that certainty. When we get to the level where it's absolutely certain. And assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible, but what was invisible, through the Spirit. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead and physical. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life. Again, Enoch is Noah's grandfather, I believe. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life, or great-grandfather, so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Seek, you shall find. By faith, Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family. By faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. So it's like people, when I tell them all stuff that I'm being shared, they're just like the people in Noah's time. Think I'm nuts. The people, other servants of God like me, they think they're nuts. But they're going to be, when it happens, they're going to be like those people. Crying out to God, oh, why is this happening? Oh, save us. And he's just going to talk to the hand. You were warned. Moving on. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. That's what I did when I retired and got rid of everything and left Vegas. Just like Abraham was told. He said to go. So I went. When I first initially left Vegas, it was 2 days before I left, before I knew exactly where I was going. I had a place to go to. And each time that I've moved since then, the other 1-2 times, he has just given me a direction shortly before I left. And right before, I wasn't sure where exactly I was going. But by faith, I trusted in him. And he's provided for me along the way. And places and to go, to help out, and people to help out, and good to be done, so it's awesome. By faith, he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. We lived however we lived. He's found a place for me to stay. And I'm prepared to live out of my car if I need to. He may develop me to where I'm prepared to live on the street if I need to. All in service to him. I don't believe he's going to come to that, but he's transformed my mind where I can accept that because he's provided for me. He takes care of me. Doesn't mean you have to do all that, but you want to start letting him transform your mind to think more towards that direction. So that if it does happen, okay. So when if something happens like the fires, and you're okay because you have you, and you're being taken care of. You have your life and your loved ones. It's truly what's important, and he'll provide all the rest. Don't be a slave to the things of this world. For he was looking, Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise, for he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Let God build that foundation of you. You try to do it yourself, storm comes along, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to lose everything. And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was unable to bear children because she considered him faithful, who had made the promise, which is God. He trusted in him. So from this one man, and he as good as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. So from this one man, Abraham, who was as good as dead, he was how old? Over 100 years old. Came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth, only here for a time. You don't belong here. You belong back with him. We have that faith and trust in him that we're going to get back to him. If you do not see it, you're not going to see heaven in physical life. Trust and faith in him that that promised land awaits you after your journey. All these people, okay, where am I at here? People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. They trusted in him, not worried about going back to where they came from, not going back to the life that they had, but to a new life that was promised to them. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. Here he received what he wanted most. God gave it to him and says, great, now I want it back. Take his life. Sacrifice him to me. How hard is that? Could you do that? He still went ahead and did it. Started to do it. God said, stop. That was a test. He who had embraced the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. So he said, okay, our offspring's going to be reckoned through Isaac, but now he's telling me he gave him to me, now he's going to tell me to give him back. But he trusted God. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead, do all things. And so, in a manner of speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed each of Joseph's sons and worshipped as he leaned on the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when his end was near, spoke about the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt and gave instructions concerning the burial of his bones. By faith, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born, because they saw he was no ordinary child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. Trusted God. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. In other words, he regarded all his sufferings and disgrace and doing without for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of this world. Better to receive what awaits than try to receive what's right in front of you. Wait for the better reward. By faith he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who was invisible. By faith he kept the Passover and the application of blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. Again, by faith, trusting in God. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea as on dry land, but when the Egyptians tried to do so, they were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell, after the army had marched around them for 7 days. And your own walls of Jericho inside. By faith, trust in him to help you destroy those walls. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. What more shall I say? I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies, even though they were outnumbered. Women received back their dead, raised to life again. There were others who were tortured, refusing to be released, so that they might gain an even better resurrection. Some faced jeers and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were put to death by stoning. They were sawed in two. They were killed by the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, and mistreated. The world was not worthy of them. They wandered in deserts and mountains, living in caves and in holes in the ground. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. Since God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. So you think you can receive that heaven on earth? People are like, oh, they're living in their mansions and so forth, yet their soul is empty. Which is better? To have all that kind of stuff here in this world, when you leave this world, you're destitute. You're not in heaven. Or you're barely in heaven. Or to do without and receive that reward, I'm going to be in the inner core of heaven. I'm going to behold the face of God. Because He told me so. By faith, I know that to be the case. So I do without. So that's Hebrews 11. And we'll pick up in Hebrews 12. Next time it was all about faith. And I just got 2 more chapters, 12 and 13. We'll probably just do together. Hope that has some meaning for you. And peace of Christ, and God bless.